Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the talk show live here in beautiful Payson, Arizona. We're really excited to have you. Just a couple of things before we get the show started. I want to thank Cameron Davis of Razor Thin Media and his son Chaz for running all the technical platforms that we are dependent on. They do a fabulous job, and the show couldn't go on without them. So thank you, Chaz and Cameron. And also for those of you that are looking for forest fire information, look for the Backbone Fire information page. You can go there and look for the road issues and what's happening up here in Marin Country with the forest fires. So I cannot wait for you to meet this fascinating man, our special guest today. His name is Roy Bergold, and he was the advertising marketing director for McDonald's Corporation for decades. So he has a lot of wisdom to share today. So please like, share, ask questions. You have an opportunity here to pick the brain of a genius when it comes to marketing, right, Roy?
I don't know about that.
So welcome to the show. It's very nice to have you.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Now, you started out your career, you graduated with a master's degree in advertising from Illinois University. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then what happened from that point? When did you join McDonald's, and how did you rise through the rankings?
Wow, that's one of those great stories. I got out of University of Illinois in 1967 and went to work for one of the biggest and best advertising agencies in the country, in fact, maybe in the world, the Leo Burnett Company, which was headquartered out of Chicago. I started in their training program, spent a year there, and then went into the media department, buying broadcast media for Allstate Insurance. And one day, a friend of mine called me that actually I had gone to school with and said, you know, there's this company that's looking for people who understand how to buy local media, local television, local radio, local newspaper. And that's, of course, what I had been doing. So I said, well, okay, you know, being, 22 years old or something like that, I said, you know, I'm willing to try anything. So I went and interviewed, and the next day they called me and gave me the job. And I said, great. Let me try to figure out exactly what I'm going to be doing here. And my boss came up to me and said, okay, here's what I want you to do. My first day on the job, I want you to go to the Rockford Co-op, that's Rockford, Illinois, and I want you to make some presentations to them about the marketing program that's going on right now. And I said, good, I have two questions. Where's Rockford and what's a co-op? And that started things off for me. And so I was the regional marketing manager. I had 12 states and 37 television markets that I traveled around for 2 years. And then they asked the regional marketing managers to critique our advertising at that time. So I sat down and looked at a reel of commercials, wrote out what I thought was good and what was not so good about the commercials. And a few days later, they offered me national advertising manager. So in about 3 years' time, I went into the corporation, and then it just went from there. But I stayed primarily in the creative area, in the advertising area. And I actually retired as chief creative officer for McDonald's. And at one time, I was worldwide. I had everything. And then it just got way too big, and I ended up U.S., and I actually retired as U.S. Chief Creative Officer. So that's kind of the way that all went.
You know what I find remarkable, and what I find most successful people have as an attribute is curiosity. Like, you weren't afraid to ask two tough questions. You were humble enough to say, I don't even know where Rockford, Illinois is, and I don't know what a co-op is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's why we have you on this show, because we live in a small community. We have you're a walking encyclopedia of marketing genius, and we have local businesses and businesses in general that are really struggling, especially after the COVID shutdowns. And the national statistics say that 70% of all small businesses that existed prior to COVID will never open their doors again. So there are real problems here, and I'm sure there's people out there that have questions, and they need help. So I'd like to start out by saying, what do you think is the most important thing for a small business to do, either when they're thinking of opening their doors, or if they're currently opening their doors and they're struggling to get more business?
Yeah, you really can't pin it down to one thing, or really even to what's the most important. Most of the lists that you see, like Johnny Carson used to do, the 10 of this and the 10 of that, they would start with number 10, number 9, number 8. I prefer to start with number 1, but it's really not number 1. All 10 are almost equally important. And of course there are many more. I've got, sheets and sheets of stuff. But if you need to do some things to get things re-energized or moving again, these are going to sound kind of a no-brainer kind of thing. Well, yeah, I know that. But you know what? In a lot of cases, we don't practice it. And that's the problem. First example, answer your phone. It's amazing how many businesses don't answer their phone. And something as simple as that, you have to think in terms of whoever is calling you, unless it's a robocall, whoever is calling you is interested in your business because they're calling you. They have a question, they have a comment, they are a current customer, or they are a potential customer. So when you don't answer that phone, you just missed communication with a potential or current customer who has an issue or a question or whatever. Extremely important. And to the next point, if you can't answer the phone, you're busy with a customer in the store or something, and it goes to voicemail, make sure you return your calls. I've said that in I don't know how many meetings. I get rounds of applause for it. We just don't seem to return our calls anymore. And again, whoever that person is that's on that call is a current or potential customer. And when you don't return the call, and you have a tendency then to forget about it, because one of the other things you can do is take notes on the call. So you've got a piece of paper that you can refer to and get to the heart of the issue very quickly. So returning your calls is just also ultra important to a business, and we don't do it. We just don't. That's one of the main complaints I hear sometimes, as I travel around and talk to various people. So, if you can do those two things, if you can get started there, I guarantee you'll bring your business back alive and keep things moving again. And then I've got, so many other things here. It's amazing to me how many businesses don't take advantage of what's almost free to them, such as a website, such as Facebook, and even to the extent of word of mouth. I have a cartoon that was drawn by Charles Schulz, the creator of Peanuts, Charlie Brown, and he did it especially for me. There are very few things like that around from Charles. And his whole point is word of mouth advertising. Lucy, of course, yells everything, and that was his way of getting into word of mouth advertising. But anyway, back to like social media and whatever, they're almost free. And the other good thing is they're instantaneous. I mean, you can, if you have something you want to do, if you have a promotion that you want to put on, or if you want to test something, a product, be it, or whatever, you can do it almost instantaneously. All you got to do is throw it on there, have it in your store, and you can see what the reaction is going to be. Because there are that many people, of course, on Facebook and whatever. The other thing is websites, and Facebook for that matter, address, phone number, hours. It's amazing how many websites or Facebook pages I have to search to find the phone number, or search to find the address, or search to find any real cogent information at that point. It's just, it boggles my mind. Don't make me work for it. Because I may not take the time, and that may be a lost opportunity for your business. So not only do you need to have one, you need to you need to construct it so that people can very easily get to the basic information: who you are, where you are, what you do, what you have, that kind of thing. And of course, hours. That's another very important thing. And if you're a restaurant, post your menu. Again, amazing how many restaurant websites don't have the menu. And if I'm not real familiar with your type of food or whatever, I'm gone. I'm never going to become a customer. Okay, another biggie in a second. Be a part of your community. And I say that in all seriousness. One of the things that McDonald's used to do, we had what we called a disaster plan. If something went wrong in the community, a major fire, a flood, a major storm, whatever, we had plans on exactly what the store needed to do to be the first at the scene, to be the first to provide things to the people that are affected. You've got to be a part of your community. When people think hamburgers, they think McDonald's. When people think of other topics, other businesses, they need to think of you right away. And you do that by getting out there. You don't have to spend a lot of money. In fact, a contribution of some sort to a third grade class is a lot more important than a contribution to a major national charity. That is your community. That is where you live and where you need to make an impression on people. So doing things in the community, being Mr. whatever, Mr. car dealer, or Mr. Cell phone provider, or whatever, but be that person who they think of first when they think of that or need that type of service. Your people. We've had a situation going on right now. You mentioned the pandemic. There's lots of other stuff going on economically and whatever. You're having trouble finding people. I mean, we're seeing help wanted signs everywhere, and major ads offering sign-up bonuses and whatever. Again, you have to be the trainer of people, and you have to be the go-to person, the person they want to work for. Again, a McDonald's story, we used to have just pages and pages of people who wanted to work for the restaurant back in the early days. That's where you'd like to be today. So if you have a problem with staff or whatever, you've got a place to go. I mean, you've got people wanting to work for you. You have to be Mr. Get it done. Take care of things. It's things like remembering people's birthdays, a thing as simple as that, in a little card or something. Anniversary, the anniversary date that they started at your business, remembering that and celebrating it with that person. But always keeping in mind that people are people, and they're going to react if you take care of them, if you're kind, if you have fun with them. You still got to keep them respecting you. You're still the boss. You still own the business. But you don't want to be feared. You want to be respected and liked. That's my philosophy. And I know several people who operate on the fear principle, and I just don't think it works. So training your people well, making sure that they understand the jobs in the restaurant or in the business, whatever, and being kind and being nice and being the person that everybody wants to work for, because it's such a cool place to work. Another thing that we have forgotten how to do, and used to be very important in opening a new business in a town, is the grand opening. They still work. They work very well. They don't cost a lot, and it invites people into your business to find out what you do, to meet you, so that you can make a first impression, to get all the pertinent information that they might need, and have some fun. Now, we used to use Ronald McDonald, and of course bringing in all the kids, but you can have something as simple as a coffee pot and some donuts or something. It doesn't have to be real huge and expensive, but it's an opportunity for you to invite people into your business to see what you do and how good you are at it. Okay. Okay. This is going to sound like a little one, but it's really not. You got to figure out a way that if it's something that I want to buy from you and you don't have it in stock right now, you got to get it faster for me than the internet can get it. Because it's way too easy to go to the internet and buy everything. And that's another problem, of course, that retail is having right now. Bricks and mortar is falling apart because of the internet. And I think we can really bring it back if we can at least get the item as fast as internet can get it and be personal about it, show the person how to use it, whatever it is, which the internet really can't do really effectively. So that's another one. And then, of course, whether it's before you open, while you're in business, you need to have advertising, promotion, public relations plans. You need to have what you're going to do on a planned basis. You can always change it. You don't have to do it, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune. Again, you can use Facebook to tell people what's going on, and put on a really cool promotion. Bring a musician into the store or the restaurant or whatever. There's all kinds of ideas on how to make people happier in your business and want to come and see you because you're a cool person. But those plans have to exist, and there are lots of people out there who help you. And in most cases, you're creative. If you were creative enough to open a business, you're creative enough to be a genius in advertising. I can tell you that. So you just need to get out there and figure it out, but have those plans. Don't just assume that because you open the door, people are going to knock it down and to get into your place. And another one that's real simple is collecting email addresses. Now, there are some people who don't want to give you their address, and that's understandable, but all the email addresses you get are free advertising. All you have to do is set it up, put out a message that you want to communicate, and you've got in effect free media going out there. So a simple, hey, would you like to receive some ideas from me? All you have to do is give me your email address, and I'll take care of it from there. So those are some of the things that I think we can do very quickly. And obviously, I'm not saying you do all 10 of them. You probably don't have that much time in the world, but picking out 2 or 3 that really seem to settle into your skills and getting on them and really getting them done will bring more people into your business, if not anything else, out of curiosity for what you're doing. And of course, people in the store means sales. Just don't let them get back out the door. Those are the kinds of things that we did from the early days of McDonald's that are still being done, perhaps not as well, but that's how we built the business.
That's excellent information. You're talking foundational building blocks, and half of the battle in business is just being there and communicating well. They say that the duck egg is much more nutritious than the chicken egg, but why is the chicken egg more popular? Because they squawk more. I think the more you squawk, the more people notice you. It's called attention, right? But then you have to take care of the customer that does find you. And you brought up a really interesting thing that I see as a huge problem. I like to try to solve big problems, and you mentioned the brick and mortar is vanishing, which is very true. I read an article about 2 weeks ago where the CEO of McDonald's had sent out a threatening message to the media saying, if you guys keep pushing this $15 an hour thing down our throats, we will go to automation. And I just looked again to see what McDonald's was doing with that. They had 10 stores in Chicago that were test modeling the automation. And already they've made a decision that there are going to be 14,000 McDonald's stores in this nation to start with that are going to go pretty much strictly, totally, automated. Now, I see the silver lining. Okay, people fear that and go, well, if McDonald's can't afford $15 an hour, and that's one of the primary reasons, how is a small business owner going to afford an employee at the beginning wage structure of $15 an hour, and that person has no experience, none. When you add all the taxes and the Medicare and you're paying Social Security and the federal state taxes, the small business owner, really is paying $19 an hour to hire someone entry level. So if McDonald's can't afford it, small businesses certainly can't afford it unless they're independently wealthy or trust fund babies. So how do you think we can solve that problem? And maybe we don't have the answers now, but how can we speak to a small business owner that is getting discouraged because, you know, the Amazons of the world and the Walmarts of the world have completely taken over? How can they even begin to compete with the monstrosity of these business entities? Any advice there?
Well, I think you got to start with the difference between an internet business, if you will, such as Amazon, and a small business in Payson, Arizona. And the difference is you're there. You and your personality and your smile and your helpfulness are there, and that's something you can't get on the internet. And that is a business principle that probably goes back to the Stone Age. It's going to be very, very difficult to compete with what's going on right now, particularly, as you say, in the minimum wage situation. And another thing to remember is that the management of McDonald's today is very much different than it was 20 years ago when I retired. And some of the automation thing, or I should say, some of the personality of the restaurant itself was how we kept people coming back and buying more or trying things that they might not have tried before. So the difference between what's going on, and I can't really speak to minimum wage because it's just too big for me. But I can say that the difference is you. And one of the things you need to do is, of course, be in your business as much as possible. That is your job. That is your passion, or you wouldn't be doing it. So you need to be there. You need to greet people. You need to be helpful. Show them, as I said, how to do things if it's something that needs that. And if you do that, you will keep your core business, and you will add new people through word of mouth when people tell people, hey, that's a really cool place to go to get this particular thing done. And not too many people say that about Amazon, except for maybe price and availability.
That's an excellent point. I was just thinking that maybe the small business owner needs to get a Prime account at Amazon, because you said get it before the internet can get it. No one can get it to you faster than Amazon, the Prime, right? You have it, you order it today, 2 days later it's at your door. So you just take that step away from the consumer. You make life easier by taking away the stress, and you just say, I'll get it ordered today. You can come in on Friday to pick it up.
That's an excellent point.
Right?
Yeah.
So you become the intermediary. You take away the work from the consumer, because ultimately that's what a successful business does. At McDonald's, you said that when you were ready to launch like a new food product, that there was techniques that you would employ to increase the sales. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think common sense in the old-fashioned way, I call it old-fashioned way, is the best way in a small town, because people want places to go. We need interaction. We don't want to talk to a computer when we're trying to get to our bank. We don't want to text, a business owner when we're investing a significant amount of money. So I think the secret is going back to the way that you led McDonald's in that way. So talk to us a little bit about how you would get people into the front door when you needed them to help you test out like new foods.
Well, okay, this really an interesting kind of thing. Of course, we had people tasting things. We made a free taste test available. And we took it one step further in that if it was something that we could carry around, like a new flavor of shake or whatever that you could put in a carrier, we actually sent our people out into the parking lot so that before people came into the store and began to order or ordered, they tasted the new product and more than likely bought it. It's just kind of human nature. So the real difference there was making sure that anything that we were going to try to sell you, you had had the opportunity to try before you had to lay out any money. And age-old, very, very successful way of getting people to try products. Now, it's gone even into the car business, as you know, where you can take a test drive in a car, probably not alone, but you could take it, and that never existed before. And in fact, you, in many cases, ordered the car that you wanted. You didn't even know how it handled until it actually came to you, and you had to pay for it. So that was a primary way. It depends upon, of course, what you're selling. But if you can come up with a way for people to try what you're trying to sell, it works like a charm.
Yeah, I love what you said, Roy, about people need you. They need your smile. They need your personality, because the world is going strictly pretty much to automation. When you're speaking of cars, I think of like Carvana. You see those towers with the car stack. You just go online. Yeah, I want that car, and that car just shows up at your driveway, and you never test drove it, but you bought it. And I think we need to bring back the human element. And once again, half the battle in business is being there. And if you're not there for people to interact with, they will move on to someone that they can't interact with. They will make it the next phone call to talk to they want to talk to someone. So we can never take away that human element. We've got to always have faith and hope that we are a lot more important than a computer. Would you?
Oh yeah,
is that
absolutely.
What you're saying?
And that goes to the first couple of points I made. If somebody takes the time to call you, talk to them. And if it's just impossible for you to do it at that point, then at least return the call. If they had the interest to do what they did, you need to have the interest to get back to them. Little story there, Ray Kroc, who founded McDonald's. Now this goes back to the days of no cell phones, and you were out of the office most of the time, going store to store, because you didn't make the company successful by sitting in an office. You went out to the restaurants and helped them with their advertising plans and whatever. Well, Ray had a rule that it was a pink message slip rule. We used to get all our messages in these little pink slips, and he said, you will take all those messages and you will return them at a payphone if you have to, within 24 hours of the time on that message. And I saw a pretty high executive get fired for not returning calls. And that was a handful of paper that you were trying to find a payphone with, but you did it. You figured it out, and people got their calls returned.
That's a good policy to have.
Yeah.
I know we're coming to the end already. I can't believe the time. I want to talk about training employees. Like, you want people to like and respect you, but the number one reason people quit a job, usually, other than attitude, is dependency on the government is the biggest one, but is the lack of training. So you said something to me that made me smile. McDonald's had a hamburger university. And talking to a small business owner, what can they do? They don't have the means to start a university, but what could they do to help them train employees so the employees feel empowered and feel that they like their environment, they feel they can be successful, that they've been trained well enough that they don't have to quit because they're humiliated because they keep making mistakes because no one properly trained them in the first place?
Yeah. Well, we were big believers in formalized training programs. Not stuffy, casual, but formalized programs. The store at that time had a myriad of positions. I mean, you worked fries, you worked grill, you worked shakes, you worked the counter. And so there are a lot of different positions in the restaurant, but we normally trained people to do every position in the restaurant because we felt it was very important that each of the people understood what the other people were going through in terms of their job. And that way you got very little negative criticism going of someone because everybody knew what the job was. And now in your business, the first thing is you have to understand every job of your business. You may not be totally proficient, that's okay, but you need to understand the job, to understand what that person is going through to perform that job. And then you need to, either you or the best person in your business needs to train that person in his or her proficiency in that position. And that way you get sort of a really neat thing going of everybody understanding everybody else's job, being able to do it in a tough situation. And you were the one that started the whole thing because you understood all the jobs and how to get them done. And it's an amazing thing to see happen when it works in a business or in a store, that a customer can walk in, the proficient person is busy, and someone else can step up and say, can I help you with that? And if I don't know what the answer is, I'll go find it. But you at least have been trained to the situation of being able to handle questions about the total business, not just one particular part of it.
Very good. Very good. Are there any questions?
Yeah, so we do have one question. As a world traveler, world marketing guru, you could have lived anywhere. What attracted you to Payson, Arizona, and why did you choose to live here?
Oh, okay.
Wow. Good
Okay.
question.
That really is a good question. Let me start back one place. For one thing, I lived in the same place basically for 57 years. So I wanted to try something new when I retired. The first place I went when I retired was Napa, because I'm a wine nut. And I always wanted to live in Napa. Well, I found out very quickly you can't afford to live in Napa. And it's pretty dangerous, actually. From Thursday night to, say, Monday morning, we never went out because there were a couple of two-lane highways and everybody's drinking wine, and it just didn't work for us, you know. So my wife's sister lived here. We came to visit her for Thanksgiving dinner, looked at one house, and bought it.
Wow.
We just love the area.
I wasn't his realtor.
No. We just love the area. We're horse people. We enjoy hiking. We enjoy canoeing. We enjoy wine. So it was, to us, it was the perfect place to do all the outdoor things that we wanted to do. And we were looking for climate too, which was wonderful. So we've been here for 18 and a half years now. Absolutely love it. I've been involved in local politics a little bit and whatever, you know. But we just absolutely love it here. We love the people. And so many of you, by the way, are doing what I'm talking about in terms of going into your business and being greeted and being first name basis and, you know, that kind of thing. I love that about a small town. I grew up and lived all my life in small towns. For us, Payson was just the epitome of small town living and outdoor life, which we love.
I had this brilliant idea, and then I kiboshed it. Like, you could be the perfect secret shopper, but we've already blown your cover.
Yeah.
So.
I have done that.
Snap.
Particularly for competitive restaurants.
Yes. Well, gosh, thank you for living here.
Oh,
thank you for contributing to our community.
Well, thank you.
You spoke about grand openings. Chamber of Commerce does do that if you join the Chamber of Commerce. I actually met you at a Chamber of Commerce meeting about 3 years ago where you were the keynote speaker, and I just started you on my letter to the hearts right away. Right? You get my letters?
Oh, yeah, sure. Read them all the time.
And I'm just so grateful that you are here. I'd like to do a program where we could do like a day or half a day workshop and tap into wonderful people like you to help the local community and, you know, reach out and help them on a deeper level. Like, I don't know if you're open to that, but maybe in the future we can talk about that.
Well, I'd love to be part of that. And it's amazing how many just outstanding people there are in this town, artists and musicians. And I mean, my wife and I are amazed constantly by the people we meet and talk to. It's an amazing little town if you kind of dig around the edges. And a lot of people, you know, when they retire, they don't want to be involved. They've had it. They've done their thing. But there's a core of people here, and quite a few, who would like to impart, I think, their knowledge and what they did in the past life and that kind of thing. And I think it would work very well. I'd love to be a part of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think legacy living is really important, and it's good to reach back and help the younger generation up. And I'm a huge fan of that. And I'll find a way. We'll do it. I promise you, we'll do it. And
well, that's a real key point too. The younger people. I've done some things at the high school and at the college. And they really do want to hear you. You need to be interesting, but they really do want to hear what you did and how you did it, and especially if it's an area that they're particularly interested in. Like, you know, if you were a musician and they want to be, and what you went through, and they really want it. They really do.
Yeah, the kids are hungry. They're curious, and it's time, I think, that we use our resources called wisdom and knowledge and impart that into the younger generation. But Roy, I can't thank you enough. I learned a lot from you, and I thank you for being on this talk show, and thank you for contributing to the lives of our listeners. And if you've liked this show, please know that it'll be on my business Facebook page indefinitely, but we also archive it to PaysonAZProperties.com under the talk show, so you can go back and watch it at any time. But please share it. If you need help if you need a good realtor in town, I know one. Like Blake Shelton does. I'm just kidding. I had to plug myself anyway, but it's been a joy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Cameron Davis, Razor Thin Media, and we'll see you again next month, where we're going to have someone from the Payson Rodeo. The Payson Rodeo, the longest continuous running rodeo in the world. So stay tuned next month. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.